I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, September the 13th, brought to you in part by Talieve by Norbrook. Talieve is a tulathromycin injection and a more affordable Draxxin. It's highly effective, broad spectrum antibiotic for the treatment of BRD, pink eye, and foot rot, among other cattle diseases. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Also, Unionville Livestock Market and Creston, Iowa Livestock Markets in north central Missouri and south central Iowa there. Creston has no sale this Friday. We'll have a regular sale on September the 20th, but gearing up for their special vaccinated calf sale and yearling special on Wednesday, October the 2nd. Be getting your consignments in for that special sale at Creston Livestock Auction in Creston, Iowa. Over at Unionville Livestock Market just south of there, they are having a special calf and yearling sale on Tuesday, September the 24th. So be getting your consignments into one of those two sales. Fed cattle market is a ball and chain. I tell you what, this week and for the last several weeks, these packers are just determined to take all the market position back out of the fat cattle market. You know, even though our fundamentals are still very bullish, nothing has changed other than the board started slipping there about 6 weeks ago, and we've kind of been in a down market. But you know, there's some support found in the board now. Feels like it would like to moderate out here for just a little bit at least. But the packers are just acting like they want to take this market down to the lows, which we are nowhere near ready to get to. Just because we've got some heavier carcasses out there, it's kind of filling in a little bit on the shortage of fat cattle that we have, and we've got a lot of imports coming in, that brush-fed meat that they mix with the fat trim and make ground beef for. But you know, the big problem that we're seeing here, and we've been seeing it for years, but it's starting to get even worse, is in the reporting of negotiated sales. And of course, I've been a proponent of more negotiated sales being needed for a long time. We tried to get the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act pushed through. NCBA and their lobbyists with your checkoff dollars fought back against that, and we just couldn't get it to the floor for a vote. We felt like we could have got that done in the Senate, but we weren't sure if we could get it done in the House, and it just kind of got parked there in the Ag Committee, and we've never been able to get it pushed through. That's what we needed to stop the evaporation of losing our negotiated sales. But we just, and it was a mandate, not for your feeders, but for your packers, to have to buy just a minimum percentage of their cattle in a negotiated manner if they're going to exploit those weighted averages that USDA puts together through the negotiated sales. They should have to participate in it at some point or at some level. But they did not want to do that. Well, we've never gotten that pushed through, so naturally our negotiated sales are just dwindling and dwindling and dwindling, and there are no feedlots that want to participate in negotiated sales because they can get some type of a sweetheart deal on a formula. They can get those cattle in a negotiated grid, which there's no negotiation to, but you do get the grid premiums there. Or you can just do one of these kind of improv formulas where you just sell $2 over the market, and when you got people selling basically junk cattle $2 to $4 over the negotiated market, why would anybody want to participate in the negotiated sales? So it's all about the reporting of those sales. Now, back when I worked with USDA 20 to 30 years ago, I collected you know, sales out of feedlots, negotiated sales. Of course, back then we used to get the bulk of the trade was negotiated, so you got all that information, and we would call the feed yards and we would get all that information, and then we would cross-check that with the schedulers at the packing houses and make sure that it was right and cross it off and make sure we had all of them right. But we had rapport with both. And so, you know, the feedlots, and especially on an up market, the feedlots would call us and they wanted to report those sales. And on a down market, we had country fat cattle buyers, packer buyers, that would call in, and I remember Dave Johnson was one. He would say, "This is your roving reporter," and he wanted to report when he got some cattle bought cheaper. But at least we had some rapport with the people that were doing the business. Well, along came year 2000, and then they decided that we needed mandatory price reporting. That was going to be a big deal, but they didn't believe that all the cattle were bringing the same price. So they wanted mandatory price reporting, and the way that they did that is they set up a database where the packers actually enter the information. So they're doing the reporting, and there's no more rapport with USDA and your cattle feeders. So we lost that end of it, and so your packers, of course, they don't want to report anything that's higher. And so whenever they're buying the little dab of negotiated cattle that they buy every week, it's all about the reporting. And they really don't want anything reported if it's coming at a decent price. And so they'll tell the feedlot, "Well, we're not going to report this, so we don't want you telling anybody else what's going on here. We don't want to report this. You know, we'll give you a buck or two more, but then we're going to put some kind of a kicker on it, any kind of a kicker that has to do with how the cattle perform in the plant, and then that throws it over into the formulas." And once they get dropped in the formulas, they have big wide price spreads, and you can't really tell what's going on, so you lose that information. But it's this reporting, you know, what's going to be reported. They only want to report the cheap sales, and you can't tell me that some of these feedlots that are reporting these cheap sales that are less than what they could get in a different type of a sales category, that they're not getting reimbursed or benefited somewhere to make up for that, whether it's under the table, whether they're indeed getting kickers and they're not putting those into what they report, but they're indeed putting it back on the checks of these feedlots. I don't know, but it just seems strange to me that we're getting lower prices reported again this week, and it's just been week after week after week in this down market, getting a few prices reported each week or this week. And they're all cheap, and we're not seeing any of the prices that I'm hearing through private sources. So on private sources, on Wednesday and Thursday, I'm hearing that some Kansas yards can get 182, and they're passing the 182, which would be $1 higher, but they're wanting 183 and 4. And we're not seeing any trade break loose. If it is, it's not being reported. Don't know what's going on. Also heard this week that Iowa passed 184 cash live. We're not seeing anything like that reported. I mean, the highest price we got in Iowa reported on Tuesday was a couple loads of cattle at 180. So how are we supposed to find out what's going on out there? And then the hell of it is, that little dab of negotiated trade is what sets these weighted averages that is the base for the formulas. So these corporate feed yards that feel like that they're partners with these packers, and they've got these wonderful sweetheart deals on the formula trade, are basically getting screwed because they just keep dampening and pushing down and dampening the negotiated weighted averages, which at some level establish a base for these formula sales. But it's getting very frustrating, and I was talking with feeders, cattle feeders on Thursday, and they are very frustrated with mandatory price reporting. And they think that, well, we should just not renew it whenever it comes up again. It comes up every few years, and we should just let it die out. And there's a huge amount of funding that goes to USDA Ag Marketing Service for mandatory price reporting, and it's not helping. It's actually hurting the cash trade and the overall market that cattle feeders are getting for their fat cattle, which in turn hurts the feeder cattle, which hurts your backgrounders and your small producers, and ultimately hurts your producers. But it's a frustrating process here, and I've always been curious what's going to happen when we don't get enough negotiated trade to even see what the hell's going on, and we're starting to get there. As the packers are wanting to push this market down, and then they're wanting to take it to levels much lower than what we really deserve right now. Just a lot of cattle politics going on. I was also talking to some cattle associations, smaller grassroots stake associations that are not affiliated with NCBA, and they've been going to Washington, D.C. and then trying to stir up support for Harriet Hageman's resolution, which would stop mandatory EID on cattle. And, you know, I would say at least 90% of your small producers at the cow-calf and at the backgrounder level are totally against mandatory EID, but you can't see it with the affiliates of NCBA, and for sure not NCBA. They want this all the way. They want mandatory EID. They know that once we get it in on everything over 18 months old that's sexually intact, that it'll just be a matter of time before they push it through on all classes. I can't understand why they don't see what a train wreck that would be whenever producers have cattle that they've been raising in background, and then they don't have them EID tagged, and then they say, well, no big deal, when you take them to, when you get ready to market those cattle, then you'll have to get them EID tagged. The sale barns don't have time to do it, and they don't want to do it. They don't have the help to do it. They don't have the room to do it. They don't, and I've had several of them tell me, we're not going to do it. And I don't care if we can charge to put those EID tags in. We don't want to do it. And so it's going to be up to U.S. Cattlemen's Association and RCAF to get enough support stirred up to get this Harriet Hageman resolution pushed through. And we've got to get this mandatory EID stopped. I've just found out that they are going to be having a rally for support for the Harriet Hageman resolution happening in Rapid City, South Dakota here in, coming up in early October. They're going to get the ear of a lot of representatives, some senators, and get that deal supported, because you know, it's just government overreach. It absolutely is. We've seen them push it through in other countries. In Europe, we've seen it. It's been a complete catastrophe. It is costing cattle producers. It is forcing them out of business. It's a way for them to just monitor what cattle people are doing, send them bills for carbon tax and things like that. It's just a bad deal, and we got to get that deal stopped. So hopefully that will work out well, and we can get something. We just need a victory somewhere for small producers. Talk about the board on Thursday. October live cattle futures were up $1.07 at 178.02. December was up 137 at 178.60. Your back months were up from 22 cents to up 127. September feeder cattle up $1.50 at 242.05. October was up 2 1/4 at 239.75. And your back months were all up from $1.10 higher to up 145. So good day. You know, several good days this week on your cattle futures there. We could get some support in there. We could try to stop this down market and hold things up here, at least for a time being here. But your packers are just bound and determined to take this thing south. Your big your grain futures. December corn was up 1.5 cents, 406 1/4, or just 406 flat, excuse me. November beans up 10 1/4 cent a bushel at 10.10 3/4. Hard red winter wheat for December down 2 cents at 5.86 1/4. Fat cattle trade, and get this, here we are. We've been through Thursday, through most of the business hours. This is everything that's been reported up through 2 o'clock on Thursday. Didn't feel like there was going to be a big swing and gate movement late on Thursday, but up through 2 o'clock Thursday, reported to USDA, so-called reported sales. Iowa sold just 200 head. They've only sold 900 head direct reportable sales in Iowa this whole week up through 2 o'clock on Thursday. The only price, $180. Ridiculous. Nebraska sold 1,400 head reported there, only 1,600 head. They normally sell 30-some thousand. And your live price is 180 to 181. Dressed from 293 to 294. All those prices are lower. Kansas only 100 head. They did have one big slug of cattle there, or maybe two on Wednesday that sold, but only 100 on Thursday. They've sold 4,800 for the week. When's the last time you remember Kansas selling many times more cattle than the Northern Plains had sold as far as reportable sales? late on Thursday. And the only price they saw in Kansas was $181, and that was on mixed bag pens. Texas, 400 and some cattle there sell on Thursday, about 2,300 head for the week, and 181's the price there too. Box beef cutout values were mixed on Thursday afternoon. Choice cuts down 18 cents at 307.18. Selects up 126 at 295.64. Your slaughter, 485,000 up through the first 4 days of the week. I can't really compare it to the holiday week last week, but compared to the same week a year ago, we were down 16,000 up to this point. So it continues to run light, but our carcasses are so much bigger. We're still getting about the same amount of production there. Don't forget about your LRPs, guys. If you're going to be turning cattle out, if you've got calves, even if they're just young or not even born yet, this market, we're in a scary market right here. Packers are determined to take the fat cattle down, and that is the main price that holds everything up. And if they take that down, there's no place for our feeders to go. Check out your LRPs. Check them out with Livestock Risk Services. That's Dakota Moss and all the agents that work right along with him. For more information on that, go to livestockriskservices.com. Talk about what else is going on. Fairpiece, we advertise them for them all the time. It's that revolutionary product that's scientifically proven. When I'm making my travels like I am this week up in North Dakota, talk to producers all the time that are saying, hey, thanks for giving me the heads up on Fairpiece. We've tried it, we've used it, it's helping us. We think it's making a big difference, and we're always going to use Fairpiece from now on, guys. And some of you think, well, how in the heck can you squirt something on a calf's head and his muzzle and it's going to calm him down and make him eat better, make him drink better, get over being weaned or whatever stress that we happen to be giving him or whatever stress he's in right then. It's $3 a dose, guys. Too cheap not to try. For more information, go to fairpiece.com. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction late in the day on Thursday, sitting at 240.76. That was up 135. It was down just that much on Wednesday. Now we gained that back. Really nice sales with some premier sales on Thursday, and this is after Thursday's sales. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index sitting at 243.04. Talk about your big sales on Thursday. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas, 3,200 head. Your feeders sold $2 to $3 higher. Calves $1 to $2 lower. Pretty good sale there. A lot of good grass cattle coming through Salina still, even this much later than when the bulk of the Flint Hills cattle have been shipped. But an impressive quote that I saw for that far down in the plains at Salina on Thursday was 50 head of steers weighed 814 pounds, bring 249. That's a lot higher than what the index levels are, guy. Your National Beefwire stick-out sale of the day was Stockmans Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota. And that's where I'm coming from to you from. And this was the first sale that they broadcasted with DVAuction. You can watch all of Stockman's Livestock Exchange sales out of Dickinson on DVAuction now going forward. We also hooked up the Western barn too. So Stockman's West will be on there when they're having their sales. But it was very impressive special. It was the customer appreciation barbecue special there in Dickinson. It was fun to be there. Met a lot of Feeder Flash gang members. I got to get up and sell for a little bit so I can add another sale to my list of places that have sold at, which is always fun for me. But check out some of these prices. I pulled this a little bit before they got completely done there, but got most of the impressive quotes there. But how about your best tested weights there? 456 head of 7-weight steers in Dickinson, North Dakota, averaged 750 pounds with a weighted average price of $262.90. 674 head of 8-weight steers, averaged 848 pounds at $248.61. 614 head of 9-weight steers, averaged 953 pounds at $233.23. Look at some heifers, some best well-tested groups there. 249 head of 6-weight heifers. Dickinson, North Dakota, averaged 650 pounds at $254.72. 710 head of 7-weight heifers, averaged $758. at 237.89, and 343 head of 8-weight heifers averaged 842 at 228.59. They were selling those big grass steers coming off these northern plains local pastures, guys, really high. A lot of them weighing over 1,000 pounds, bringing over 230. This was an impressive quote that I saw as an individual quote. 75 steers weighed 802 pounds at Stockmans Livestock Exchange at 259.75. It's about 20 bucks over your real-time index, guys. But up in the northern plains, you got farmer feeders. There's nothing better for a feeder market than old money and cheap corn, guys. And they've got it up here. It's a long ways from the southern plains where we're suffering on our market here because of the lack of farmer feeder interest. But some other individual quotes from all around. How about Clarinda Livestock Auction in Clarinda, Iowa? DVAuction broadcaster there. 68 steers weighed 688 on Thursday and bring 284. Give you a price from down in the southern plains where they're like I said, not getting the good interest from farmer feeders near as much. But how about Woodward Livestock Auction in Woodward, Oklahoma? They sell 53 steers way down in the southern plains, averaged 824 pounds in western Oklahoma at 246, which is an impressive quote there. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, indeed come out of Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota. And I want to say thanks to John Fisher, one of the owners there, along with Austin and Dan, and they were very hospitable to us, and we had a really good time coming up here to install their broadcasting system. But the Macrocin top quote for the day come from my good friend Jim Felton from over in Montana. He had backgrounded some steers on grass there, and these cattle come in really green, guys, over in eastern Montana. He brought them over to Dickinson for the sale. 87 steers, weighed 730 pounds, green as gourds, bring 279 1/4. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.